You fixed my car, kid. But I think you just fixed something bigger. Sir, I didn't do much. I just did what was right. The sun hung low over the flat. Open land of Pineville, a quiet village on the edge of a small American town. The air carried the smell of dry soil and cornfields. Life here was slow, predictable, and often harsh. 13-year-old Malik Turner walked barefoot down a dirt road. His school bag half torn, filled with second-hand books. His small house sat near the old railroad tracks where trains passed twice a day. Each time Malik heard their thunder, he dreamed that one of those trains might take him somewhere far away. Somewhere where money wasn't a daily fight. Malik's mother, Rosa Turner, worked long hours at a diner cleaning tables. His father had left when Malik was just 6, leaving behind an old photo and a few broken promises. Malik had learned early that life didn't hand out kindness easily. You had to earn it. Every morning before school, Malik helped his mother gather rainwater, fixed leaks in the roof, and carried wood from the backyard. He never complained. His mother often said, "Son, we might be poor, but we're not broken." Those words became his armor. That morning, Malik stopped by the road near the cornfield. He watched as a shiny black BMW X5 rolled slowly down the narrow path. The car looked like something from another world, clean, polished, expensive. Malik had never seen such a car this close before. The car hit a sharp stone. There was a loud pop. The front tire went flat. The driver slowed to a stop. The door opened, and a tall white man in his late 40s stepped out, wearing a crisp blue suit and polished brown shoes. Malik froze for a moment. The man looked like he didn't belong. Here, his presence drew stares from the few villagers walking nearby. Dust swirled around his shiny shoes as he bent to check the tire. The man sighed. Great. Just great. No signal, no repair shop, and this road feels like it's from another century. Malik took a step forward, hesitated, then spoke softly. "Sir, you need help?" The man turned. His face was lined with the kind of calm that comes from success. He looked at Malik, a skinny black boy in a faded t-shirt and worn-out jeans, and then back at the car. "You know how to change a tire?" The man asked, half skeptical. "Yes, sir," Malik said quickly. "I help Mr. Harris at his garage after school sometimes." The man hesitated, then shrugged. "All right, let's see what you can do." Malik hurried to the back of the car, found the tools, and got to work. His hands moved fast but careful. He loosened the bolts, lifted the car, replaced the tire, and tightened everything again. Sweat rolled down his face, but he stayed focused. The man watched, impressed. "You're good at this." "What's your name?" "Malik, sir." "Malik Turner." "Well, Malik Turner, I owe you one," the man said with a smile. "I'm Richard Evans. I was heading to a business site near the town. Seems I would have been stuck here for hours without you." Malik smiled shyly. "It's okay, sir. Glad I could help." Richard reached into his pocket, pulled out a $100 bill, and held it out. Malik looked at it, stunned. He had never seen that much money in one place. But after a pause, he shook his head. "I can't take that, sir. I just did what anyone should do." Richard looked surprised. "You're turning down money?" "Yes, sir. My mom says we should help people when we can. Not for money." Richard's expression softened. He folded the bill and slipped it into Malik's pocket anyway. "Keep it. For school or for your mom. Think of it as a thank you." Malik hesitated but didn't argue. Richard smiled, got into his car, and started the engine. "You've got something rare, kid. Most people would have walked away. Maybe someday, that heart of yours will take you further than this road ever could." As the BMW disappeared into the distance, Malik stood quietly, the sound of the engine fading behind the hills. in his pocket. The folded bill felt like more than money. It felt like a spark of possibility. That night, as Malik sat on the porch, he told his mother what happened. She listened, pride glowing in her tired eyes. "You did good, Malik. Remember, kindness is a seed. It takes time, but one day it grows into something you can't even imagine." Malik didn't know it yet, but that flat tire was about to change everything. 3 weeks passed. Life in Pineville returned to its slow rhythm. Malik went to school, worked evenings at the small auto shop, and helped his mother. The $100 bill still sat untouched inside a small tin box under his bed. He wanted to use it wisely, not waste it. Then one afternoon, while he was helping fix an old pickup truck, the shop owner, Mr. Harris, called out, "Hey Malik, you got mail." Malik frowned. "Mail? For me?" "Yeah, fancy-looking envelope too." Mr. Harris handed him a white envelope with a golden logo at the corner. Malik wiped his hands and opened it carefully. Inside was a short letter printed on thick paper. It read, "Dear Malik Turner, I hope this letter finds you well. You helped me a few weeks ago when my car broke down near Pineville. I wanted to reach out properly. Your honesty and kindness left a strong impression on me. I'm visiting again next week and would like to meet you and your mother. Please let her know. Sincerely, Richard Evans." Malik read the letter 3 times before he believed it. His heart raced. He ran home, waving the letter in his hand. "Mama, Mama, look." Rosa turned from the stove, confused. "What is it, son?" "It's from the man I helped, the one with the fancy car. He says he's coming back." Rosa took the letter, read it carefully, and looked at Malik. "Why would a man like that come back here?" "I don't know, but he says he wants to meet you." Rosa hesitated. Life had taught her not to expect miracles. But deep down, she felt something different this time. A week later, the BMW X5 returned, rolling down the same dirt road. The neighbors peeked out from their windows. Malik and his mother stood by their small porch, waiting nervously. Richard stepped out, smiling warmly. He was dressed more casually this time, jeans and a white shirt. "Hello, Malik, Mrs. Turner. It's good to see you again." Rosa greeted him politely, offering a seat on their porch. The wooden chair creaked under the weight of wealth meeting poverty. Richard looked around, quietly taking in the simple surroundings, the cracked paint, the patched roof, the wilted flowers. Then he turned back to them. "You know," he began, "that day you helped me. I was in a hurry to get to a meeting, but I couldn't stop thinking about your son afterward. In my world, people chase money and power, but they forget simple kindness. Malik reminded me of what really matters." Rosa smiled softly. He learned that from his grandmother. She used to say, "We might be poor, but our hearts don't have to be." Richard nodded. "That's beautiful. I've been thinking. I run a small scholarship program for young students who show potential and good values. I'd like Malik to be part of it." Malik's eyes widened. "A scholarship? For me?" "Yes, Malik, you'll get full funding for your education, books, and even mentorship if you want to learn about business or mechanics. You've got something I can't teach, character. But with education, that character can build something great." For a moment, nobody spoke. The wind rustled through the fields. Rosa covered her mouth, tears forming in her eyes. "Sir, I don't know what to say," she whispered. "Just say yes," Richard smiled. Malik nodded quickly. "Yes, sir. Thank you, sir." That night, Malik couldn't sleep. He lay awake, staring at the tin roof, replaying every moment. The sound of the flat tire, the handshake, the letter, it all felt like fate. He whispered to himself, "One good deed, and everything can change." In the quiet of that night, Malik didn't know he had just stepped into a world that would test his patience, his values and his strength more than ever before. The road from Pineville was no longer just a dusty path. It had become a doorway. The next few weeks moved faster than the wind that swept across Pineville. Malik received official scholarship. Papers in the mail with his name, printed neatly across the top. He had never seen his name look so important before. The scholarship would take him to Jefferson High, one of the best schools in the nearby city, just 40 miles away. But it felt like another planet. On the morning of his first day, Malik wore a crisp white shirt, a pair of second-hand black shoes polished until they shone, and the same backpack, now mended with care. Rosa stood by the doorway, adjusting his collar like she had when he was a little boy. "Remember, son," she said softly, "don't ever let them make you feel less because you come from here. You belong wherever your heart tells you." Malik nodded, holding back tears. "I'll make you proud, Mama." The bus ride to Jefferson High was quiet except for the hum of the engine. As the town grew larger outside the window, Malik pressed his hand against the glass, watching tall buildings rise from the horizon. The city looked powerful, intimidating, but full of dreams. When he stepped off the bus, students rushed past him wearing expensive sneakers, new backpacks, and confident smiles. Malik felt small for a moment. He could feel the difference, his clothes, his accent, even the way he stood. Inside the classroom, the teacher introduced him. "Class, this is Malik Turner. He's joining us from Pineville. Let's make him feel welcome." A few students nodded politely, but one boy at the back whispered something to his friend and laughed. Malik ignored it and took a seat by the window. That afternoon, as he opened his lunch, just a sandwich wrapped in foil, he noticed the same boy sitting with a group of kids eating from the school cafe trays. The boy called out, "Hey, new kid." "What's that?" "Homemade. Cute." Malik smiled politely. "Yeah, my mom makes good sandwiches." The boy rolled his eyes. "Sure, man. Welcome to Jefferson." For a moment, Malik felt embarrassed. But then he remembered what his mother said, "You belong wherever your heart tells you." After classes, he headed to the library, where he found peace among the rows of books. He read everything he could: business, engineering, mechanics. He wanted to understand the world Richard Evans came from, the world where choices shaped lives. One evening, Richard came to visit him at the school dormitory. Malik greeted him with a wide smile. "Sir, I'm learning so much, but it's hard sometimes. People look at me differently here." Richard nodded thoughtfully. "I know that feeling, Malik. The world has a strange way of dividing people by what they wear or where they come from. But remember, if they can't see your worth yet, make sure you never stop showing it." Malik looked up, determination in his eyes. "I will, sir." That night, he sat at his desk long after lights out, reading by flashlight. The words on the page spoke of ambition, leadership, and change. For the first time in his life, Malik began to believe he could build something beyond Pineville, something big enough to come back and lift others with him. Months turned into years. Malik's hard work became the talk of the school. Teachers praised his discipline, and even the students who once mocked him began to respect him. He earned top grades in math and mechanics, often staying after class to repair old engines for the school lab. One evening, while cleaning up, the same boy who used to tease him, Ethan, the mayor's son, approached. "Hey, Malik," he said awkwardly. "I was wrong about you, man. You re smart, and you don't quit." "That's cool." Malik smiled. "Thanks, Ethan. It's never too late to see things different." By the time Malik turned 17, he had become one of the best students in the county. Richard Evans remained in touch, visiting occasionally, sometimes sending books, sometimes just checking in. Malik began to see him not only as a benefactor, but as a mentor. Someone who believed in him when the world didn't. Then came the storm. It was late summer when heavy rain hit Pineville. Malik was in the city dorm when he got a call from his neighbor, Mr. Harris. "Malik's son, it's your mama. The river flooded. She's safe, but the house, it's bad. You should come home." Malik's heart sank. He packed his things and caught the first bus back to Pineville. When he arrived, the smell of wet earth and broken wood filled the air. His small home stood half collapsed, furniture floating in muddy water. His mother sat on a porch step, drenched and shaking. He ran to her. "Mama, are you okay?" She nodded weakly. "I'm fine, baby. We lost almost everything, but we'll start again. We always do." Malik held her tightly. He looked around. The house that had held every memory of his childhood was nearly gone. Later that night, as he tried to salvage what little he could, he found the tin box under the bed. Inside was the same $100 bill, still folded neatly, still untouched. He stared at it for a long time. That bill had started it all, the small act of kindness that led to everything. A week later, Richard visited Pineville again. He brought supplies, blankets, and building materials. When he saw Malik standing among the ruins, he placed a hand on his shoulder. "You've done everything right, Malik. But life will always test how strong your heart really is." Malik nodded quietly. "I'm not giving up. This place made me who I am. I'll rebuild it, not just for us, but for everyone here." Richard smiled. "Then, let's start now." For the next several days, Malik and Richard worked side by side with the villagers to rebuild the homes. Malik led the efforts, organizing tools, helping neighbors, fixing roofs. Word spread across the town, the scholarship boy was back. And he wasn't here to show off. He was here to help. By the time the last house was repaired, Malik had become more than a student. He had become a symbol of hope. People began calling him the boy who never forgot. But life wasn't done testing him yet. After graduation, Malik received a letter that made his hands tremble. It was from Evans Industries, Richard's company. "Dear Malik, we've followed your progress closely. You've shown not only intelligence, but leadership and empathy. We'd like to offer you an internship at our main office in Chicago. Sincerely, Richard Evans." Malik read the letter 3 times before whispering, "Chicago." It was a dream he had never dared to dream. He told his mother that night. Rosa hugged him tightly. "This is your chance, baby. Go show them who you are." Chicago was nothing like Pineville. The streets were alive with lights, noise, and motion. Malik stayed in a small apartment near the company's office, a tall glass building that touched the clouds. His first day was overwhelming. He walked into the lobby where men in suits spoke in quick tones, carrying tablets and phones. The receptionist smiled politely. "You must be Malik Turner. Mr. Evans is expecting you." When Malik entered Richard's office, he saw a panoramic view of the city behind him. Richard stood, smiling proudly. "Welcome to your next chapter," he said. For months, Malik worked harder than anyone. He learned about marketing, production, and investments. He often stayed late, taking notes, asking questions, and studying reports. He never wanted to waste the chance he'd been given. One evening, Richard called him into his office again. "Malik, do you remember that day by the road?" Malik nodded. "Yes, sir. I remember every detail." Richard smiled. "I've met hundreds of people in my life, Malik. But that day, you reminded me that success isn't about money. It's about what we do with it. I think you're ready to lead something on your own." Malik frowned. "Lead what, sir?" Richard handed him a folder. Inside were blueprints and photos of an empty factory building in Pineville. "I want you to reopen this place," Richard said. We used to have a small manufacturing unit there. It shut down years ago. But with your leadership, I believe we can bring jobs back to your community. What do you say?" Malik stared at the folder, speechless. His hands trembled slightly. "You want me to run it?" "Yes, you'll have full support. But this will be your project, Malik, your vision." That night, as he looked out at the Chicago skyline, Malik thought of his mother, of the dusty roads of Pineville, of the day he fixed that tire. He smiled softly. He whispered to himself, "It's time to go home." When he returned to Pineville months later, he was no longer the boy who had once patched roofs and fixed tires. He came back wearing a suit, driving a company car, but his eyes carried the same humility. The villagers gathered as trucks rolled in, unloading equipment. Malik stood before them and said, "This isn't just a factory. This is our chance to build something that lasts. No one's going to save us. We save ourselves, together." Cheers filled the air. And just like that, the same dusty road that had once seen a broken car now saw the rise of a dream. The factory stood like a sleeping giant on the edge of Pineville. Malik spent weeks walking through every corner of the old building, studying the machines covered in dust, listening to the echoes of what used to be. He hired local workers, men and women who had once worked there before it shut down. Some were old enough to remember his father. Some were young and hopeful like he once was. Every morning, Malik arrived early, clipboard in hand, wearing a clean white shirt but never afraid to roll up his sleeves. He worked beside everyone, lifting boxes, cleaning floors, checking engines. At first, progress was slow. The machines broke down, supplies ran late, and investors hesitated. One of Richard's managers in Chicago even warned him, "Malik, this project might be too risky. Pineville doesn't have the infrastructure anymore." But Malik stood firm. "Then we'll build it, piece by piece." He called Richard one night, his voice tired but steady. "Sir, I know this is hard, but I believe in this. I've seen how people change when they have hope. We can't stop now." Richard paused, then said softly, "You remind me of myself when I started. Keep going." Weeks turned into months. Malik faced every obstacle with patience. When the power failed, he bought generators. When machinery rusted, he found a mechanic who could fix anything with a wrench and a prayer. Slowly, the sound of machines returned to Pineville. The first day, the conveyor belts started moving again. Workers cheered. Some cried. For the first time in years, the village had life again. That evening, Malik walked home, his shoes covered in grease, his shirt damp with sweat. His mother waited on the porch. "How was the first day?" she asked with a smile. Malik sat beside her, exhausted but proud. "It was loud, messy, and beautiful, Mama." She laughed softly. "You've come a long way, son, but don't forget why you started." "I won't," he promised. As the factory grew, so did attention. Local news channels came to film the young man who revived Pineville. Business owners reached out with offers. Investors wanted to buy shares. Malik suddenly found himself surrounded by opportunity and temptation. One evening, during a business dinner in the city, a company executive leaned close and said, "Malik, you're talented. You could move to New York. We'll pay you triple. Forget Pineville. This is where the real money is." Malik smiled politely. "Thank you, sir, but my roots are in Pineville. That's where I belong." The man laughed. "Roots don't make you rich, kid." On the drive back that night, Malik thought about those words. He looked at the skyline, bright and endless, and wondered if maybe he was being foolish to stay tied to a small village. When he reached home, he found his mother sitting quietly on the porch again, wrapped in a blanket. Her face looked tired. "Mama, you okay?" She smiled faintly. "Just a little weak, baby. Don't worry." Malik felt a pang in his chest. For all his success, he still feared losing her. He sat beside her, holding her hand. "Mama, people say I should move to the city. Make more money." Rosa looked at him gently. "Money can build walls or bridges, Malik. You decide which one you build." He nodded slowly. "I'll build bridges." The next morning, he donated part of his profit to repair the village school. He built a small library in his mother's name. The children of Pineville began to read books about science, art, and invention, the same books that once inspired him. Every dream, no matter how pure, faces a storm. 2 years later, Pineville's factory became the heartbeat of the region. But with growth came problems. Some suppliers began charging more. A few workers started stealing materials. Rumors spread that Malik was too young to handle success. One morning, an inspector arrived from the city with serious news. "Mr. Turner, there are financial inconsistencies in your accounts. Someone has been forging purchase orders." Malik's chest tightened. "That's impossible. I check everything myself." But after hours of investigation, they discovered the truth. One of his trusted managers, a man named Derek, had been stealing company money for months. When Malik confronted him, Derek shrugged. "You think kindness runs a business, kid. This is how the real world works." Malik's voice trembled with anger. The real world doesn't have to be dirty. He fired Derek immediately, but the damage was done. The factory was in debt, morale dropped, and rumors spread fast. For the first time, Malik felt fear. That night, he drove to the old field where he had met Richard years ago. The moon shone faintly through the clouds. He sat on the hood of his car, staring at the road. Richard arrived quietly, standing beside him. "I heard what happened." Malik sighed. "I trusted him. I thought doing good would protect us from bad people." Richard shook his head. "Doing good doesn't protect you, Malik. It prepares you. Every setback is a test. You can let it break you, or you can let it build you stronger." Malik looked up. "What would you do?" "I'd start again, but this time, wiser." Malik nodded slowly. "Then that's what I'll do." And he did. He called his workers together the next morning. "We've been hurt," he said honestly, "but this factory belongs to all of us. If we fall, we get back up together." The workers cheered. Some even volunteered to work overtime, without extra pay, until the books balanced again. Within months, Pineville was back on its feet, and this time, stronger than ever. Years passed. Malik was now in his 30s, confident, respected, and successful. The once small factory had expanded into 3 locations, employing hundreds of people. Pineville was no longer the forgotten village. It was thriving. One summer afternoon, Malik walked through the new community center he built. Children laughed. Books lined the shelves, and a mural of his mother smiled down from the wall. But Rosa's health had worsened. She spent most days resting in her room. Malik visited her every evening, bringing her flowers from the garden. One day, as she lay in bed, she reached for his hand. "You've done everything I ever dreamed for you, Malik. But don't forget your heart is your greatest wealth." Tears filled his eyes. "I'll never forget, Mama." She smiled softly. "When I'm gone, promise me you'll keep helping others. Promise you'll never stop being the boy who fixed a tire." He squeezed her hand. "I promise." That night, she passed away quietly in her sleep. The next morning, Malik stood by her grave under a clear blue sky. He looked up, remembering every lesson, every word, every sacrifice. He whispered, "I'll keep building bridges, Mama," in her honor. He launched the Rosa Turner Foundation, an organization that funded education for poor children across the state. Within a year, hundreds of students received scholarships, just like he once had. Some came from towns he had never heard of. But each letter they sent back carried the same message: "You changed my life." And each time he read those words, Malik smiled quietly, knowing his mother's seed of kindness had grown into a forest. It was a bright morning in Pineville when a luxury car rolled into the village. A silver BMW X5 newer, shinier, but almost identical to the one Malik had seen all those years ago. The driver stepped out, a young man in his 20s, clearly lost. His tire had burst on the same dusty road. Malik, now in a clean blue shirt, was walking nearby, inspecting construction for a new school wing. He noticed the stranded car and walked over. "Need a hand?" he asked kindly. The young man looked up, surprised. "Yes, sir." "I think the tire's gone." Malik smiled. "Don't worry. I know a thing or two about tires." He grabbed the tools and helped change the wheel swiftly. The young man watched in awe. "Thank you, sir," he said. "I was on my way to meet someone about a job. You probably saved me." Malik dusted his hands, happy to help. The young man pulled out his wallet. "Please, take this." Malik laughed softly. "Keep it, son. Help the next person you see instead." The young man hesitated, then nodded slowly. "Yes, sir. I will." As the car drove away, Malik looked down the road. The same wind that once carried dust now carried hope. Richard Evans had passed away 2 years earlier, leaving part of his company in Malik's name. Malik had become one of the most respected businessmen in the region, not because of wealth, but because of his humanity. He turned back toward the village, the factory, the school, the houses, the laughter. Everything stood as proof that one small act of kindness could change generations. That evening, as the sun dipped below the fields, Malik stood outside his home, rebuilt, peaceful, full of light. He whispered to himself, all this started with a flat tire. Then he smiled, because he knew the truth. Greatness doesn't come from what we have. It comes from what we give even when we have nothing. Moral lesson of the story is that one act of kindness can start a chain that changes the world. Malik's story reminds us that real wealth is not measured by money, but by the lives we lived along the way. Your turn. What's the life lesson you're walking away with? Tell us in the comments. Like and subscribe the channel for more interesting videos.